Hello, everyone. I'm Anand Prasad. Thank you for being here, and thanks to the organizers for having me here today to give this talk. This is a 20 minutes talk, and I'll try to cover about open virtual RAN security. So now, maybe starting with, you have always heard about OpenRAN and various terminologies, and that means it's splitting up the RAN, opening it up more than what was seen before. And I use the word virtual because obviously, as we are moving towards, and this all comes from the 5G specification, as we are moving in that era, and we are in that era, we are talking about virtualization, and more than that, actually, about cloud. That's what I think is more right term. And there's an open virtual RAN security that's I put here. So as you might know, I'm Anand Prasad. Um, and today's talk in these 20 minutes is I'll be covering like this. I do put a bit of 5G security background because I think that is kind of essential to understand the open virtual RAN aspects as well, and finally conclude with some outlook, some takeaways as well for you. Allow me a little bit of introduction. Venovator is an advisory company with a good experience in connectivity security, all the way from standards to operations. And these are some of the fields that we cover, from 4G, 5G, cloud, open vRAN, private networks to IoT. Um, the reason I'm saying is that it's important for you to understand that there's a strong background that comes in based on which this talk is being given today, yeah, including a chairmanship in past for 5G, for 3GPP security, when 5G security was decided. Now, when you talk about 5G security, this is a base that I really need you to understand. It really depends on who you ask to. Yeah, one way you can think of just the specifications, and that it's not just specifications. There's a lot of work and hundreds or thousands of hours gone behind making those specifications. But on the other side, when you talk about 5G, anyhow, you are talking about all this softwareization. You're talking about all the different interfaces coming in place. You're talking about open source. You're talking about partnership. You're talking about slicing and many other things, and all the machine learning and intelligence and stuff like that coming in. Yeah, all are true. But the fact is that when you start using it in practice, when you put things in place in practice, there's something in between that's what truly works. Yeah, and that's where the security truth also lies. Yeah, and to make security happen, which is the essential part here that I'm going to say, is that you have to take care of all the cloud virtualization part that I said towards in this picture. I'm also hoping you're seeing left, and the security specifications part also as well. Yeah, and then some of the baseline security that I say, the essential parts as well as listed down there, is about security assurance part, that's testing and things like that. And then identity access management, privilege access management, which comes with the asset listing as well, that you need, and then logging and this for that security monitoring. Yeah, and that leads to you overall towards security operations. Yeah, there are many different aspects when it comes to the 5G security, and you might have seen my previous talks about specific about 3GPP, but these are a couple of other aspects that you need to take care of. Today, the focus is about the disaggregated RAN or open virtual RAN, but many of the things are common. You see, you are getting into a network which was closed, which was very well guarded and controlled, and now you're opening it up a lot. Yeah, it is valid for the whole network, and you are putting thing in cloud, which was not experienced before, and you're putting many different kind of services, many different kind of parties in the given space. Yeah, if you want to put that, if you want to use the wording that way, and and all these services, all these parties from different places, how do you secure them between them, those itself, and how do you really manage and operate them from security perspective, let alone the other side? Yeah, and how do you really communicate from security to other parts of the operations as well? It's not a simple task, but it has been proven that it can be done. And mind you, when I'm talking about all these different parties, the specifications as is built is such that it's very modular. So different parts can be changed as and when required. That is the way the specification is built, and the reality can also allow that. So with that base, let's look at Open Virtual RAN. And I'll try to be fair to the time that I've been given. So let's try to cover it within that time. So Open Virtual RAN, when we are talking about, you're hearing the Open RAN terminology all the time. So this is what it is in essence. Yeah, it's overall split of the RAN. Instead of one base station, it's put in at least three different parts. Yeah, you go to 3GPP specification, you see CUDU, and then radio resource unit and things like that. And then you go to the ORAN specification and you see the radio unit, and then a couple of other things as well. Yeah, just to bring it in front of you, I'm pretty sure you're all informed about it, but you see the cloud part here, and for the DU and the CU part. Yeah, and and then based on that, depending on the operator, depending on deployment model, you can have different services different places, yeah, on the business requirement, on service requirements. And that's a key part for security as well. Depending on how security has to always work together with the architecture and always work with the business as well. Things have to happen and still have sufficient security there. Yep. One thing before I get into more other words of security in the latter slides, one point I do have to mention. I'm pretty sure you are all out there have mobile communications background, and therefore you know the access stratum. That's the RRC and the user plane. Yeah, and that means you have a mobile device with connectivity going all the way till here, both of them. Yeah, let's put it just very simple that way. What is the difference now compared to what was in past? Yeah, in past you would have the base station, and that's where your security was ending. Yeah, that's for the access stratum, that's for your radio resource control, and that's for the user plane. Yeah, that's your real data. In this case, it's going all the way much deeper in the network. It's a good thing from security perspective, from security people's perspective. Yeah. So, and then on the other hand, from the specifications perspective, the benefit is also that you the keys always change, the credentials always change, and therefore there's extra security as well if and when there's any physical attack. Yeah. So just the point is, I put this up anyhow, being one of the initial speakers here, is that there are many different bodies working on it. I'm not going through all of them. I'm pretty sure there are others also as I speak coming up and discussing different things. I know that a talk was there before me on TIP as well. But the basic point is capex reduction, the cost reduction, and then the liberation as well. You're not stuck with one company. You can go to multiple when, how, switch, and things like that. Cloud era, you talk about very fast changes as well. Continuous is a very key word. Yeah. Now, what it means is that there are open interfaces, there are COTS off-the-shelf hardwares, and you have software and open source, and then you have a lot of automation. Um, all of these things together bring a lot of security issues, yeah. But these are already kind of handled by many different in many different ways by many others. So it's not something that cannot be done. So if you look at some specific points here, I'll go back and forth between slides here. You're opening up the whole thing. Yeah, that's what we call the attack surface. One box, now you have split it out in multiple, so the attack surface is increasing. Yeah, the attacks can happen in different interfaces, obviously. Yeah, and the attack can happen in different endpoints as well. So that is the overall issue. Now, the other point that I try to mention here is that the trust chain issue. Yeah. So if you look at here, you have seen, I'm pretty sure, different slides, different people talking about many different services, and that might be ending in this edge cloud or even a closer edge cloud. I don't know if there's a wording for that even. But if you do that and you have multiple parties coming in, who is really responsible of that? Is that the vendor for that particular purpose? Is that the system integrator, if the integrator is being used, or is that the mobile operator? Well, I do think that this is an opportunity for mobile operator. We do think that way, to come and get control of the whole thing. But in that case, how do you provide the complete security in that cloud? Yeah. You see, you can, if you have a single thing where you're managing everything from boot up of the hardware all the way to loading the OS and say the hypervisor, if you're doing it that way, and then whatever virtualization that comes up, it's a virtual machine based, container based, or whatever we are talking about, you can have much better control of the whole trust chain. Yeah? But now if you're bringing multiple parties, changing them very quickly, how will you really provide those trust chain? How will you then also segregate them? It is not, it's not a joke. Yeah. But then again, I always have to mention these things are being done as well. And then the issue, as I mentioned, about the physical security aspect, those issues will come. But mind you, with the uh, with the trust zones, if you think, this part over here much more better secured, you are in better shape. Yeah. These parts you can bring a decreased stress zone, and therefore potentially attacks, and you can live with that. Now, having said about all these things, it's not all that bad. You can get much better security. Look, let me just stay in this figure for some time. Having said that, okay, fine, these things are can be attacked, but they can be equally secured. Yeah, with existing protocols. Yeah, existing solutions, and by pumping in the right credentials in the right place, you can do that. Um, at the same time, becoming a cloud-based solution, and allow me to go back again. What's happening is that you have more visibility of your assets. Yeah, you have more idea of what is out there. Trust me that most of the people, even on your phone, your mobile, your laptop, and even the operators, all of them will not have good idea of what assets they really have out there. But getting into this kind of arena, a cloud-based arena, you have much more possibility to know what you have. Knowing what you have, knowing how to access them and who can and when access them, integrating them with a centralized means of identity access management, you are getting to much better visibility as well. Yeah. And getting into these kind of systems, you are bringing much more automation. Look, one of the biggest issues, go out and try to hire security people. It's very difficult to find the right set of resources, uh, any set of resources. So in that side as well, automation helps you a lot. But let me help you out here, even that side even more. The base of security, how are you going to divide it? You you have to have a baseline security that I always say. Yeah, you have to have a, first of all, holistic understanding of security when you're talking about things. Yeah. So the base of security is you have to have basic rules and regulations and policies about, say, physical security, about identity access management, privileged access management, and these you can already have it implemented in your system, yeah, in your network, yeah. And then at the same time, vulnerability assessment, you can standardize it, have it ready for your network, for your deployment. Okay, all the hardening and things like that can be standardized and brought in place. This is the basic set. What you can also do is that having it deployed in your production network at the same time in your labs also, you set these things up, so that in that case you are setting up your system for a proper cloud network and cloud deployment. Yeah, you can have continuous kind of check and then going into deployment, and therefore you have adequate security, and this is all existing. Yeah. And then you have the existing protocols and stuff for the endpoints, and pushing the right certificates at the right time, or as you get the solutions and go through your pipeline, you can push the certificates, you can push the logging mechanisms, and then get them out. You see, you have set up the basic thing, and then you have set up your pipeline properly, and therefore you're securing everything that goes out in a network. Yeah. And then there comes the 3GPP part, or the specifications part that your different vendors will bring in. Yeah, you have the base set. Your base ground is clear, it's set completely. Your IP networking security, everything is set properly. Virtualization security as well. And then you have the solutions coming in. You can check them. You can add things on top of them. and then get them in the network. As I said, the 3GP part and things like that. Um, so that way you have the best mix and match, so best in class security, and that way, if you think of it, you have, even for your resources, you have much better much bigger option of human resources to secure your network as a mobile operator. Yeah. And then all the way down to your security operations and control and all the incidents and stuff like that, you can get even other sort of resources, and at the same time you can get into more and more automation. Yeah. In that side, you can automate how to act on any kind of incident that happen, based on different rules and stuff like that, and different mechanisms and algorithms. Yeah. And these are being done as well. Now, the reality check very often is that unclear security policies, yeah, security strategies. There are standards which are lacking, but they are currently being developed and will be out very soon. Yeah. And then the lack of maturity, and then operational skill set and stuff like that. As I mentioned in previous slide already, that these are the current issues, but there are means to resolve them and existing ways to make it happen. But of course, you have to know, and you have to have a holistic view of security. You have to have people at the topmost level of the organization to understand the importance of security on the business and the business implications of not doing it properly from the very beginning. Yeah. So a couple of points when you are going down this road, and now from an operator perspective, going down this road and making this security happen, you do have to understand about clear separation of roles. I'll get into that in next slide as well. And then think about the security architecture from not just a box-based architecture, but a cloud-based architecture. All right. And accordingly think about your deployment and operations and continuity of your system. There is a shift here, as I have mentioned all along. Yeah. And then a couple of points as I'm going towards end and limit of time as well. I think I've said quite a lot of points. A couple of points here. There are different roles, and each have different responsibility, as mentioned here. Yeah. Um, a hardware provider with correct the overall root of trust, taking care of that. Physical protection, if you're going with a model where you have hardware provider and the rest you are putting on top of that, then that hardware provider has to give you proper physical protection, and then also network computer redundancy and things like that, and take care of the supply chain security as well. Yeah. And then if you say that you're going with a virtualization platform provider, you have a third party provider not doing everything by yourself, then adequately those have to provide a proper security for the IP side, all the environment side, and then all the times about supply chain security, and then have to help you out with your assets and stuff like that. Yeah, the baseline things always come in, and then the application parts come in place with the specific standards related security. But as a mobile operator, you have the opportunity to take more responsibility and controlling your overall environment. Yeah. And therefore your operations model have to change, and you have to see so that you can manage by yourself the overall security aspects of your open virtual RAN. The points that come in that case is that operators, yeah, it's better for you to push your security controls and requirements in standards and make it happen, and bring your organizational changes. Vendors, properly package so that you have adequate security in place, and then of course embrace interoperability and flexible integration models. I want to say that have talked about increased footprint, print complexity and exposure. Holistic security from all aspects, from organizational aspects, from system aspects becomes important. And from the day one, taking care of everything, as I said, baseline security as well. And that's the best practices. And optimization and automation, of course, becomes quintessential in this era. Some references here that you can go out and check. My slides should be available for you as well. And then something about my contacts. And we have a white paper also out there if you want to see. But you're welcome to contact us at any time. With that, I think I'm very much within time. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you very much, Anand. Anand will actually be back during our super panel, which will take place at 3:15 GMT, to delve a little further into OpenRAN security-related issues. And he will actually be joined by the speaker of our next presentation, Augustine, who will be looking at the technical contributions of the ONF to ORAN. So please tune in for that session now. Thank you all, and thank you, Anand.
Thank you very much, everyone.